All right, let's just jump right into this explainer. We're looking at a massive, and I mean absolutely massive shift in how we can transform Dynamics 365 interfaces. If you've been anywhere near the Microsoft Power Platform ecosystem lately, you've probably heard the whispers, or maybe even some shouting about generative pages. So today we're unpacking exactly what you need to know about this new feature. We're pulling straight from expert demonstrations to see how it's fundamentally changing the game for how we build inside model-driven apps.
Because look, you know the feeling, right? This is the universal pain point for IT support teams and, honestly, everyday users. You log into your CRM or your IT help desk app and bam, you're immediately greeted by a sea of endless, rigid, generic rows of data. Want details? You got to click into a form, read it, navigate all the way back out, and do it again. It's functional for sure, but is it inviting or modern? Not exactly. That rigid nature has been a persistent hurdle for user adoption for years.
So, here is our roadmap for today to tackle this. First, we'll look at escaping those rigid app interfaces. Second, exactly what generative pages are. Third, comparing your development options. Fourth, the crucial limitations you really need to know. And finally, the 2 ways to actually build these pages. Let's get moving.
All right, diving into Section 1, escaping rigid app interfaces, and the core problem with typical Dynamics 365 UX. When your team complains about a system being clunky, they're really just talking about the friction of trying to get a high-level view of their daily tasks. Historically, building a customized, interactive dashboard that actually bends to a user's workflow? Total headache. But instead of those endless generic rows, imagine providing an immediate visual breakdown of ticket priorities and technician workloads, with full filtering options, the whole shebang. Picture logging in and seeing a sleek, modern React dashboard that updates dynamically. And the absolute best part? If you click onto a record in this modern dashboard, it seamlessly drops you right into that specific record inside your native CRM. It perfectly bridges the gap between a custom React application and your existing environment. Moving to Section 2. What exactly are generative pages? Going from natural language directly to React code. We are talking about fundamentally tearing down the barrier to entry here. Generally available since October 30th, 2025, these allow you to simply describe a page in natural language and an AI coding agent just builds it for you. Let's break that down. These pages are Dataverse native, meaning they talk directly to your database. They're solution-aware, which is a huge deal for your application lifecycle management because they move smoothly across your environments. You literally just tell the built-in coding agent, hey, build me an IT help desk dashboard showing new tickets. And boom, it generates a fully working React and TypeScript page that lives right inside your app. Under the hood, it's basically a 3-step dance the AI executes to bring your interface to life. First, you've got thought streaming and prompting. You give the AI a prompt, and it actively builds a plan, analyzing requirements and verifying its assumptions. Step 2, it gets right to work on code generation, rapidly writing those React and TypeScript lines for you. And finally, rendering. It compiles that code into a visual interface directly within your model-driven app, totally ready for you to preview and start iterating on. Now, here is the absolute crucial takeaway. You do not need to be a developer, you don't need to write a single line of Power FX, and you don't need to buy extra user licenses to ship this to your team today. You're completely bypassing that steep learning curve of coding while still getting a top-tier React application output. And from a budget perspective, if you build this using the native Maker experience, it uses your existing setup. That means no extra AI credits are burned, and your end users just need their standard access to the model-driven app to use the new dashboard.
Okay, Section 3. Comparing development options and finding the right architectural fit for your project.
So whenever Microsoft drops a new feature, the immediate question is always, how does this replace or work with what I'm already using? This objective comparison shows exactly where generative pages live. They are an AI-assisted embedded alternative to both clunky custom pages and pro-developer code apps. Think about custom pages. You build them dragging and dropping PowerFX. They're basically Canvas apps stuffed into a model-driven app. They work, but they can be a bit slow and lack that modern web fluidity. Code apps, on the other hand, require professional developers handwriting React for a completely standalone application. Generative pages sit perfectly right in the middle. You get the high-quality React output of a code app, but you build it using natural language prompts, and it embeds natively just like a custom page.
Section 4. Crucial limitations to know. Yep, let's talk about the catch. Because tech audiences rightly always ask for the catch, right? As amazing as AI generation is, you have to architect your solutions with reality in mind. The magic number here is 6. 6 is the absolute maximum number of Dataverse tables allowed per page right now. So if you're trying to pull in a dozen different relational tables for some massive, overarching enterprise dashboard, generative pages are going to hit a brick wall. You have to be strategic and maybe break your user interface down into specialized, focused pages rather than one giant hub.
And listen, this is the biggest takeaway right here. Unlike Power Effects, this generates raw React code, meaning you or a pro developer must ultimately take responsibility for verifying that code if things break. Microsoft's low-code Power Effects protects you if the underlying platform updates. But raw React code, that liability is totally on you. Additionally, these pages are currently Dataverse only, meaning no hooking them up to SharePoint or SQL databases yet. There are also regional restrictions locked to the US, UK, Australia, and Singapore right now, and only one maker can edit a page at a time.
Finally, Section 5. 2 ways to build. Basically, your fork in the road for execution. You actually have a choice in how much control you want over the AI that builds your app. You have to choose between the easy, free, built-in app designer or the highly flexible, advanced local terminal method that costs your own API tokens. In the standard app designer, you get a chat interface right in your browser. It's safe, requires zero setup, and doesn't cost you anything extra. However, you're locked into the GPT models Microsoft provides, which might not always perfectly iterate on code without regenerating the whole file. If you're comfortable with command line interfaces, the local machine method lets you plug in top-tier models like Claude, giving you significantly better logic handling, though you are paying for the API usage yourself. Actually, fun fact from our source demonstration, building a full IT dashboard this way took about 15 minutes, and surprisingly only used around 55,000 tokens to fully verify and render. If you take this local route, you open your terminal, authenticate your AI, and use the Power Platform Skills plugin. You just type the /genpage command to kick off the process. But what is truly mind-blowing here is the automated browser verification. The AI literally opens a browser window via Playwright, logs into your app, clicks around the dashboard it just built, and self-corrects any bugs it finds, like fixing a status column error right on the fly without you lifting a single finger. Crazy, right?
So, what does this all mean? The crucial point we are driving home is that removing UX friction is the ultimate key to getting your users to actually engage with your CRM. At the end of the day, it literally doesn't matter how powerful your Dataverse backend is if your team avoids logging in because the interface is a chore to navigate. By utilizing generative pages, you're bridging the gap between enterprise-grade data management and modern consumer-grade app experiences.
So I really hope this explainer has equipped you with everything you need to decide if generative pages are your next big IT investment. We've explored the very real problem of rigid interfaces, mapped out how natural language can generate pure React code, evaluated the limitations, and looked at practical ways to actually start building. It's a massive leap forward for the Power Platform ecosystem. The tools are right here, they are incredibly powerful, and they are changing the standard for what a model-driven app should look like. The only question left is, what are you going to build first?